Greetings, Chummer, and welcome back to another RIT90s recap for Season 2, Episode 9, Shellshocked. In this episode, Arthur relives a memory from his time in the Atlantean Foundation facility. It's the 6th of August, 2086, and Arthur has been brought down to a small interrogation room by Dr. Reese in order to be questioned about a strange message he received while the facility was in lockdown. Dr. Reese addresses Arthur by his true name, Saul, and tries to get him to reveal whether or not he had recent contact with subject number 45. Arthur denies that the message he received was from 45, but Dr. Reese catches on and sends Arthur's case further up the organizational chain. The message in question wasn't revealed to Dr. Reese, but Arthur remembers it saying, "They've kept too much down here. They're losing control. I'm getting out. I'll see you up top." Back in the present, Merlin tends to Dev's wounds as the rest of the Neon Knights try to settle on a safe place to rest for the evening. Merlin notes that her motorcycle has a Valkyrie module in the sidecar that can provide emergency medical care for Dev if they can just retrieve it. After musing over their options, the group decides that Percy's apartment in Renton may be the best option, since they can kill two birds with one stone and pick up the Valkyrie module while they're there. Once in the Renton district, Arthur and Percy exit the van ahead of the group to scout the perimeter. Percy scales the fire escape and notices that the locks on her windows have been disturbed, but the chalk dust lining the sill is still intact. So, whoever investigated her apartment was clearly unable to get inside. Arthur uses his technomancer abilities to scan the area for surveillance technology and finds a video camera pointed at Percy's window and a motion sensor placed under the fire escape. Arthur signals Mordred and they work together to confuse the sensor and brick the cameras, or at least tamper with the footage. Once inside, the Neon Knights make themselves at home in Percy's apartment, noting the lack of proper food, the abundance of bartending equipment and soy calf, and the presence of a Data 3 arcade console that piques Mordred's interest. Mordred and Percy head back down the fire escape to try and use Percy's warehouse to transport the motorcycle and Valkyrie module upstairs. In doing so, Percy accesses a new ability called Shift. Inside the warehouse, Percy notices that Servo is nowhere to be seen, and hears another roar echoing up from the staircase beyond the open door. Making a mental note of that concerning fact, she returns to Mordred and they bring the Valkyrie module up to Dev. As Dev stabilizes, the party sits down to actually rest for what seems like the first time in days. Lancelot rummages through the bar and Percy prepares a nightcap of sorts for each of the team before they find different areas of the small apartment to sleep. Gawain rests his head up against the Valkyrie module with Dev inside. Arthur settles into an armchair with his feet soaking in a bucket of water, taking some time to configure a sprite to assist Mordred in his trace of the camera's owner, and Mordred volunteers to take first watch. Before falling asleep, Percy texts her dad again to seek clarity on what information he might know about her gap in memory. He reiterates that he's on his way, sending a picture of his boat off of the coast of Tir Tangier, and reassures her that the sun always rises, before telling her goodnight. During his watch, Mordred takes a moment to reflect on his journey so far, and what everything could mean. During Arthur's watch, he glances over the sleeping party and ponders just how many more people will get hurt in the pursuit of their goals and in search of answers. He turns to the window to look out over the city and remembers the voice of his lab partner, Gwendolyn. "You see, Saul, it's really quite something. I think it's a good name. It's like you're about something. It's a statement. Just read the book that I gave you. We're going to build something, and I can't think of a better name for it than Camelot." As Mordred sleeps, he never usually dreams, but tonight he dreams of his childhood home. He walks through the familiar halls until he hears laughter. Through the door, he sees a vision of his parents playing with him as a child. When he wakes, Mordred's goblinization has completed. Once the party wakes up the next morning, they sit down over a cup of soy calf to plan their next move. Mordred states that getting his deck back in working order is a top priority, but it means battling Egg within the Matrix. At this, Percy perks up and digs out several gaming rigs that connect to her Data 3 console for the non-Matrix literate members of the party to use. Arthur and Mordred use Esper and Drift to convert Excalibur back into a deck. Boblin, Gawain, Lancelot, and Percy plug into the Data 3 console, and Kay and Merlin stay behind to watch over Dev. Tune in next episode to find out what happens next. And always remember, the birds work for the bourgeoisie.